Hey guys, welcome to the Elevate online experience and welcome to our very first online experience of the year. It's lovely to have you, so buckle up for an awesome message. If you're at home and you'll be joining us online for a few weeks now, how about like our pages, share our pages with someone you reckon may be interested, or subscribe so you get the notifications during the week. Today's awesome worship partner is Austin Stone, coming from the United States of America.
To my Who's able to forgive? Only Jesus. Who is our righteousness? Only Jesus. Who opens up our eyes? Only Jesus. Us from our sins, only Jesus. Who's coming back again? Only Jesus. Who holds the keys to life? Only Jesus. There's no one like you. You stand alone. No greater love was ever shown. You are our rescue. Only Jesus. High and exalted upon your throne. No greater name was ever known. You are our refuge. Only Jesus. Yeah. You are holy. We bring our praise to you. Holy. In our hands we raise to you. Holy. There's no one like you, God. Yes, you are holy. We bring our praise to you. Holy. In our hands we raise to you. Holy. There's no one like you, God. There's no one like you. You stand alone. No greater love was ever shown. You are our rescue. Only Jesus. High and exalted upon your throne. No greater name was ever known. You are our refuge. Only Jesus.
So here it is, guys, a brand new year and a brand new series. It's called A New You, taken by our very own leader, Mark Pomeroy.
Well, hey there, Elevate family and friends. Great to have you with us today for our first, as Tom said, online experience for 2023. Now, it's early January, so chances are many of you have been given some thought to what things are going to change and improve and things you're going to maybe do differently as you enter into a new year. You know, things you're going to start doing, maybe things you're going to stop doing. Maybe have a list, a mental list, whatever it is. But I want to put to us today as we launch this brand new series that there's actually a better question, and it may even be the best question. Rather than focusing, first of all, on what you're going to start and what you're going to stop, actually zoom out and ask the question, who am I going to be? Or what sort of person am I going to become in 2023? And so that's really what we're going to be leaning into with this series, A New You. You know, what areas of my character am I going to develop in 2023? What areas of my competency am I going to develop in 2023? What relationships and friendships and leadership relationships am I going to intentionally develop and cultivate in 2023? Because this question recognizes that anything new you want in life begins with a new you. In November 2022, I went to visit my optometrist for my scheduled eye appointment. Well, it wasn't really my scheduled appointment. I'll come back to that in a moment. But look, I'd been putting it off. And the reason I'd been putting it off is I was born with some eye issues, some vision-related issues, and I've been wearing glasses since my parents were able to identify that. More recently, contact lenses. And over the years, my eyesight had been getting progressively worse. I started to think that maybe with my contact lenses, I'd end up with lenses so thick that I couldn't close my eyes over them, glasses so thick that I risked burning my retina if I accidentally looked at the sun. And so I would get from my optometrist mail reminders, recycling bin, email reminders, delete. And I'd put it off and put it off and put it off. Okay, eventually I went. And I meant to go every 2 years. I went in November 22, and my optometrist looked up my records, and she said, "Oh, you haven't been here since 2017. That's 5 years." And I'm thinking, okay, I'm sprung. We did the tests that you do, and much to my surprise and delight, my optometrist said to me that my eyes haven't changed at all in the last 5 years. Now, I took that as a win. I mean, they hadn't improved, but I didn't expect them to improve. But they hadn't deteriorated. Effectively, my eyesight and quality of vision had maintained over the last 5 years. Now, whilst I consider that a win when it comes to my physical vision, I don't want to end this year, to come to the end of 2023, seeing the world exactly the way I see it now. I actually want God to work in me, and I'm going to apply myself to work on my vision, on the way I see the world through this year, so that I end up in the end of 2023 seeing the world more clearly, seeing the future more brightly, seeing things through the sort of lens that God sees things. And I want to invite you to go on that same journey. It's possible for me, and it's possible for you. It's going to take some work, and today we're kickstarting the project with looking at the optics of how we see things, because how we see the world has an incredibly large impact on how we experience the world. And because of that, if we can improve how we see the world, we'll ultimately improve how we experience the world. Now, if you've got your smartphone handy, pop open the camera app and scan this flow code. It's going to take you to Mark chapter 8. Mark's one of Jesus' 4 biographers. This is the context of where Mark drops us into at this point, is that Jesus and his chosen 12 were on a journey, and they arrived in a particular new town. They arrived at Bethsaida, Mark writes. Some people brought a sightless man, a blind man, and begged Jesus to give him a healing touch. Taking him by the hand, Jesus led him out of the village. He put spit in the man's eyes, laid hands on him, and asked, "Do you see anything?" The blind man looked up and said, "I see men, but they look like walking trees." So Jesus laid hands on his eyes again. The man looked hard and realized that he had recovered perfect sight, saw everything in bright 20/20 focus. So I want to just do a quick flyover of 3 lenses that we can improve in 2023 that will help us see the world more brightly, more clearly, and more through the same kind of perspective that God has. The first one is optimism. Now, for the record, I'm an optimist. And for the record, I'm not really sure how someone can be a follower of Jesus and be a pessimist, but I've met them. They exist. And they'll say something like, Jesus is my hope and everything's hopeless. And I'll be like, pick one. They can't both be true at the same time. Which is it? All right, I've got that out. Let me encourage my fellow optimists. See, it's likely that you've received some criticism from time to time for your optimism. Now, people don't say, "Oh, can you please stop being so optimistic?" because that will out them as being a pessimist, and they don't want that label to be on their t-shirt. But instead, they'll say things like, "Oh, I don't think you're seeing the situation clearly. I don't think you appreciate what's going on, and you're just not being realistic. Or sounds to me like you're in denial." And unfortunately, that's pessimism just kind of masked as realism. And a little bonus is that, unfortunately, people who see the world through that lens, a pessimistic lens, if they let this play out further, pessimism becomes fatalism, where they believe that there's nothing that they can do to change circumstances, to affect circumstances, to improve circumstances. So you might as well just accept it and let life roll over you. By contrast, optimists have a unique relationship with the future. They don't ignore reality or deny the facts. They don't believe nothing will ever go bad, and they're not shocked when things do go bad. They know there's going to be challenges, and they know there is going to be obstacles, but a key distinction is that optimists live with a posture that understands most problems are temporary, and that even in the midst of problems and challenges, and on the other side of problems and challenges, they can actually be incredible opportunities to grow as a result of the experience. They understand that diamonds are forged in incredible pressure. They understand that gold is refined in a fire, and they spend some time in the middle of challenges just kind of imagining the good that God's doing and that God's ultimately going to bring out of it. And the blind man came to Jesus with a posture of optimism. He didn't just accept that his situation was forever, he kind of wondered if it might be temporary. He didn't accept that this was as good as it's going to get. And that's a sticking point for some people. Some people, their inner narrative is, I've always been this way. Well, I tried it once and it didn't work. Well, nothing's ever going to change. There's nothing I can do about it, so I might as well just accept it. But optimists are typically not passive. They're not fatalists. They're always, both, as I said, looking at what God is doing, and then also asking the question, is there something that I can be doing? Now, that thing might not be directed at the challenge. That thing might not be them wondering if they can actually avoid the challenge occurring. It's that even in the midst of challenges, there's something in my life. There's something today. There's something this week. There's something this month, this year. Even whilst I'm experiencing challenges, there's something that I can be doing. By the way, a little bit of more bonus content. The blind man, as you can imagine, didn't make his way to Jesus on his own. He was brought by his friends. He was brought by other people. So just keep that in mind as you journey through 2023. Who you intentionally surround yourself will have a direct impact on the life you experience, not just this year, but for every year going forward. So that's a little double click on optimism. Let me talk also about opportunity. You see, it's important to realize that our future is created in large part by how we respond to inconveniences and interruptions. Let me have an honest moment, if we can. Have you ever found yourself thinking that God likes some people more than he likes you? Purely on the basis that he seems to be giving some people far more opportunities or better opportunities that he's giving you. And you're like, hey. But what I've found is that when you scroll back in the lives of those people, you'll find there was a time when they actually had very few opportunities presented to them. But the thing they did that was like a superpower is that even every little and seemingly insignificant opportunity, they stepped through that. They took that opportunity. And then as they did that, they found that another opportunity was waiting for them. And they stepped through that opportunity. And then they found that there was another opportunity waiting for them. And they stepped through that opportunity. See, Jesus was on a journey when he got ambushed by this blind man and his friends. Now, for the blind man and his friends, this looked like an opportunity. Hey, we heard that Jesus is in town. We heard that he can heal people. Let's go to him. So for them, it was an opportunity. But actually for Jesus, on the surface, it appeared like an inconvenience. He had things to do. This wasn't in his appointment calendar. Yet it turned out to be an opportunity for Jesus as well. And it's a reminder that inconveniences and interruptions can be an opportunity. Now, every time I leave the house, there is only one thing that I ensure that I take with me. I mean, I typically take a few things, but in terms of like the absolute essential thing, is my keys. Not my phone, because I can go back and get that, providing I've got my keys. So the thing I focus on is my keys, not my wallet. I can go back and get that. My keys, my house key, my Vespa key, my office key. So I've got, these are essential keys. And then now in our house, we've got a drawer, a little container in one of the drawers, which has some other essential keys for on-site. Garage, padlock key, side security gate key. chances are you have some of those as well. But then there's this third category of keys. Rogue keys. And I'm willing to, well, not bet, but to guess that some of you, maybe even many of you, have some rogue keys somewhere in your world. They might be in your junk drawer. They might be in a Tupperware container somewhere. They might be in a jar somewhere. And you have absolutely no clue what they unlock. But you can't bring yourself to throw them away because you've just got something in the back of your mind that says, maybe one day I'm going to discover what this opens up. See, maybe you have some rogue keys in your life that you've thought are unimportant. Maybe some experiences, some interruptions, some inconveniences, some challenges. And that if you put them to work this year, God is going to use them to unlock some new opportunities that you did not even know were coming your way as you entered into 2023. Now, final word on keys. Keys are formed. See, you don't walk into your locksmith and ask them to just hand over a new front door key. They don't have a new front door key to your house. Well, at least I hope they don't. No, you ask them to form a key to your front door. And it's very important to understand that keys are formed and that it's only after they're formed, it's only after they've gone through the forming and formation process that they're actually going to unlock the thing for which they were designed. And so that's true for us, that for us, for you, for me, to unlock the opportunities that God has waiting for us in 2023, we need to first submit ourselves to the forming process. I mean, look, I've met some people that kind of wish at best, but maybe assume at worst, that the way God has us approach opportunities is the same way that we walk through the door at the shopping mall or at the grocery store, that as we get nearer and nearer, that at some moment, they're just going to automatically open up. You don't need a key. You don't need a password. You don't need to work. You just need to step into the vicinity and voila, the doors are open. And you know, sometimes we might wish that that God was up in heaven just watching us and pushing the automatic door button for every opportunity that we approached, but he doesn't work that way. He works on forming us so that we become the key that's going to see us unlock new opportunities. And so this is what I said right at the top. The best question in 2023 isn't what am I going to start doing? What am I going to stop doing? Although it may involve those things, but it's to zoom out and who am I going to become? What aspects of my character am I going to develop? What aspects of my capacity am I going to increase? What intentional relationships am I going to cultivate? And these are going to be the sorts of things that will see you and I better formed to then ultimately be able to unlock opportunities. All right, third one, final one, offense. This is actually a topic that we've taught 2 series on in the last 18 months. That's very unusual for us. And we chose to teach 2 series on this topic of offense because it is so incredibly important. Because if you get stuck, trapped in offense, it will actually prevent you from moving forward and taking a hold of the opportunities God has for you. So look, by the way, these are the 2. No offense and don't take the bait. And if I could, I don't have this superpower, but if I had it, I would force you, I'd make this compulsory listening. Go back and listen to it. If you've listened to it before, maybe it's great time to have a refresher course. Don't get stuck in the trap of offense. So Jesus, when he was interrupted by the blind man and his friends, took him by the hand, led him out of the village, and he put spit in the man's eyes. Understand this. Blind people might not be able to see, but they compensate by becoming very good at listening. So this blind man, he would have known exactly what Jesus was putting in his eyes. Now, I went to an all-boys high school, and I've pretty much seen every gross thing imaginable. And yet, this scene in Jesus' life, it still bothers me. It just feels wrong. Now, some Bible scholars have tried to sanitize this. Things like, well, first of all, when Jesus spat, it wasn't spit, it was spittle. It wasn't the spittle like your spittle, it was the spittle of God. And they kind of try to paint this scene as if Jesus was like just blasting the blind guy with holy water. But that's not how it was at all. See, when Jesus came to earth, yes, he was fully God, but he was also fully man. And I can guarantee you the spit came out of the fully man part. He put spit in the man's eyes, laid hands on him, and asked, "Do you see anything?" What if in this moment, the blind man had taken offense because Jesus had just rubbed spit in his eyes? Like, mate, come on, who do you think you are? That's just gross. What's wrong with you? Who does that? And turns to his friends and said, okay, just get me out of here. What if he had? What if he'd taken that offense with Jesus? And I don't want you to miss this. See, a lot of offense, and certainly what we taught in those two series I just mentioned, has to do with offense caused by other people, things that they've said and done that are offensive, and that if we allow ourselves, we can take offense and then get stuck in that trap of offense. And that will limit our experience of what God has for us this year and beyond. But it's important to also understand it and be honest with ourselves that we can also get offended by God. God not doing what we wanted him to do, not doing things in the way that we wanted him to do, not doing things in the timing that he wanted us, not answering the prayer the way we hoped he would. And look, it's likely that if you've ever experienced this, you don't say I'm offended with God. You use words like I'm disappointed. I'm feeling a little bit let down. But if this is your experience and you're still living in that experience, that you believe that God is holy, but you're not so convinced of his goodness, this will be the lens that you look at him through, and this will be the lens of the experience that you have, and it will limit you walking into opportunities in your future. See, at this point in their interaction, Jesus said, "What do you see? Do you see anything?" And the blind man looked up and said, "I see men, but they look like walking trees." So this was progress, but it wasn't God's best. But the good news is the man didn't walk away, and the good news is Jesus hadn't finished yet. So Jesus laid hands on his eyes again, and the man looked hard and realized that he'd recovered perfect sight, saw everything in bright 20/20 focus. Blind, partially healed but still blurry vision, and then eventually and ultimately perfect, clear, bright 20/20 vision. Transformation, God's transformation, is almost always a process. And yep, I know, wouldn't it be nice if God just gave us a zap and it was all done? But that's not God, that's a magician. And God's not a magician, God's a father. And what this blind man did is he stayed connected to the presence of Jesus. And then over time, and we don't know how long, but the idea is that it took a process for him to ultimately get to where God wanted him to be. So this year, can I strongly recommend, can I invite you? We're going to go on a journey together. And it's going to be a journey where we submit ourselves to God to allow him to form us over time as a process so that we can take a hold of the opportunities that he already has waiting for us in 2023. Now, one of the things that I want to invite you to do, if you haven't already, is scan this QR code. It's going to take you to the Bible app, and it's going to allow you to set Elevate Church as what they call My Church in the Bible app. And what we've been doing, and we're going to continue to do, is that at the beginning of every week, we're going to load up a brand new featured plan, and that's going to be around the topic that we're teaching on, whatever that topic happens to be. And we can read that together. We can go on that together. You can even find friends from within Elevate Church in the app. And this is part of the process and submitting ourselves to the process of formation. So I'm recording this ready for Sunday. On Monday, we will be publishing, and if you're joining this after Monday, it's already there, a Bible plan that's really focused on the new year and giving us some additional resource and motivation to become a new you in 2023.
If you've been joining us for a few weeks now and you're thinking you might want to take your next step on the relationship with Elevate Church, how about considering giving into us so we can help reach and build into more people all over the world? The ways to give can be found just below. So thank you guys for joining us for week 1 of our brand new series, A New You. How about joining us next week? We look forward to seeing you then.